and it's been really nice so far. I've been here for a few days, and my trip's only for about 4 or 5 days. So today I have the car to myself today, because I have been hanging out with my family, and I am going to meet up with my dad now. We met up yesterday and I got to see him, and that was awesome. It's always so emotional because I don't see my dad more than every few years or so, but we're getting closer, so that's always good. We'll probably see each other more in the future, but it's always very, very emotional to see my dad. So I have a feeling today, since today's the last day I'm going to see him before I go home, I'm going to be very, very, very emotional. I just started building a relationship with my dad a few years ago because we weren't close before because my parents are divorced. But it's really nice to have that relationship back.
Welcome back to Commentea. Want to help support our channel, please hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share our video.
Don't forget to hit the notification bell to get notified every time we upload.
We're going to be reacting to The Truth About My Father from Alexandra Rodriguez. This is a trigger warning for our topic. We are going to be talking about SA with minors specifically. So if this is a triggering topic to you, this is your warning. She talks about a crime that her father has committed multiple times with a minor who was his adoptive daughter. He was part of a church. There's some sort of program where they would adopt minors, that he adopted this minor or was trying to adopt this minor, and allegedly he SA'd her 8 or 9 times. And this is Alexandra's response to the public knowing about this, although this has been information about her dad has been out there for years. This is not brand new information. She just tends to delete the comments and not address the situation in any way. So she's finally addressing it. I don't think she can hide anymore because a lot of the reaction channels have been reacting and talking about what her father did. Obviously, we have a problem with it. So this is her video talking about it. It's only 4 minutes and 43 seconds.
And it's not just that she hasn't talked about it. I think what is triggering the community is her behavior towards the information that she has.
Today's video is not easy for me to make, but I know it's necessary. I always promise to be real with you, and that includes taking ownership of things that are difficult, painful, and deeply personal. Recently, parts of my past resurfaced online, a letter I wrote years ago in support of my father and photos of him at my wedding. Back in 2021, and I understand how upsetting and confusing this has been for many people, and I just want to speak honestly from the heart and provide the full context.
So Alex wrote these probation letters. She wrote multiple, even though she claims in this video to just address one. She leaves out some of the information, which in my mind is lying. I mean, if you're purposely leaving out some information that is public record, that she wrote multiple letters, I think she should have just said, I've wrote multiple letters. I don't know why she felt the need to lie about that. She wrote the letter in 2023, which was the last letter she wrote. 2023 was 2 years ago, so she was a full-blown adult when she wrote that. She wrote that 3 years after her dad was already rearrested. Her dad was rearrested for trying to find the victim again. The victim changed her name on her social media account. The father, Roger is his name, did reach out to the victim via Instagram.
He violated his probation. He's not allowed to contact the victim in any way, shape, or form, which that granted him a violation, and he did some time in jail.
He's not allowed to leave the area that he lives in. He wears an ankle monitor with a GPS to track him. The victim herself, she took out a restraining order. She's just going to have to continue renewing this restraining order to keep him away. He started essaying this girl, his adoptive daughter, when she was 15 years old at his house, which was shared with his wife, Roger's wife, and 2 other kids. Part of this is that's so hard as we're talking about children, and children are innocent. And the way that she claims that Roger had sex with a 15-year-old, that to me is just telling me where she is mentally in this whole situation. The way she's wording it is dismissive.
It seems like she can't come to terms with the reality that her dad could have done this. She's using it as, oh, it's just sex.
Yeah.
Instead of actually abusing.
Yeah, being a PDF, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you are a PDF. You essayed a minor. Like, that should have came out of her mouth, and I feel like it didn't. The language that she uses just shows that she's not really being fully honest about the situation, even to herself. I feel like she probably just thinks that in her mind, like, yeah, he went to jail because apparently he had sex with a 15-year-old, when it's more than just that.
So, starting from the beginning, my parents divorced when I was very young, and my father left my life almost entirely when I was just 2 years old. He moved away and started a new family, and I saw him maybe once a year, if that. He wasn't really a father to me, and his absence left deep emotional scars that I've carried with me throughout my life into adulthood.
That is probably the only part of the video that I agree with, is the fact that she has deep emotional scars. I think she has more scars than she realizes, and that it has impacted her life completely without her really knowing. I just keep thinking about all of the red flags in her childhood. For example, her grandmother basically raising her. Where was her mom? She went out of the country to follow some guy when she was, I think, 16 or a really young age. She went to Mexico to get her lap band when she was a teenager. Then she had like chin lipo after that. I just feel like all of this stuff is due to trauma. Instability, neglect, not having any self-worth, not feeling validated from herself or anyone else, and that she's constantly trying to prove that she's worthy. Everything about it, even the way she raises her son, I really feel like she should not be on the internet at all as a role model to anyone. She needs to take care of herself psychologically, mentally. She needs to figure out what's going on with her relationship with her mom, because her mom seems to be a huge influence. And as someone who is her mother, she should be the one that takes responsibility, at least when she was a teenager, to help her get through some of this trauma. And I just feel like she was more of, in my opinion, right? I feel like Nancy, her mom, could have done a better job at guiding her as a parent should, rather than trying to be her friend and allowing her to make mistakes, like going out of the country to follow a man, or a boy, I should say, because she was a kid herself. I just think that there's so many deep-rooted things that are happening here that there is no video, there is no one psychological session, not one medication. There's nothing that would fix this except time and effort.
Internal work.
Yeah, a lot of work. One example is with the way she holds her son. Like, he literally throws his back, gives no support in his neck, and she has several videos of him with his head like all the way back with no support on his neck. That's just basic one-on-one, like support the newborn's neck, support his neck. And she just doesn't do it. And I just feel that's an endangerment to her son. And, this is just my opinion again. I feel like all of this has led to her just getting worse, like the weight gain, the lies, the manipulation. She's just constantly doing things to try to make herself seem like she has this perfect life, which she does not have a perfect life. And she wants the public to see her as thriving. There are no words that I can say on how sad I feel for this victim who was involved in her father's crime. I know that this is going to be something that is going to impact her life forever. This is something that she's going to need so much support and strength to get through this, because people like Alex are basically condoning his behavior by writing letters that claim that he's a good person. I have a real problem with that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Imagine the strength that this child victim had to have to go through all these court proceedings and be re-victimized. He gets convicted, he does some time, then comes along Alex submitting good character letters. I can't even imagine how the victim is feeling. This is like all her hard work, all her effort for somebody to kind of do that and help minimize the sentencing.
Yeah.
And he's out there on probation, living his life, while this victim is hiding and trying to avoid possibly being re-victimized by him again, or any other person. And Alex doesn't grasp that what this is doing to that victim, what this is doing to her psychologically. I think you brought up a good point, how you were saying she hasn't grasped the reality of the situation. because she hasn't grasped the reality, I don't think she realizes how this is affecting her actually psychologically. She probably knows that there's certain things she needs to work on, but it goes deeper than that. And she can't come to terms with how her past is affecting her present.
And I think, this is all for entertainment purposes only. This is just her opinion again. She did disable the comments on this video, and reading the comments before they were disabled, it was heart-wrenching. I think it's important to get this information out there without having people like Alex silence them. This comment read, "I've had to create a new YouTube page to hide my identity, as I am a victim of child essay. I was aged 13 to 16. I was a longtime subscriber of yours. I say was because after this video I can no longer support you, and here are my many reasons. I want to convey this by saying that I do not blame you for what your father did to that child. 1. You say in the opening that you wrote the letter to the judge many years ago. That's not true. I searched the letter. You were an adult. It was in 2021. You refer to your dad essaying a child as both having sex. This is extremely disturbing, as sex is consensual. Child essay is not. How dare you insult us victims by using such language? 3. You portray yourself as a victim time and time again, even in this scenario. Shame on you. You do not deserve to be on YouTube or have any platform. End your channel now. Edited to say that I have a screenshot this comment and will post it if deleted to prove how disingenuous you are toward your loyal subscribers and to the victims of child SA." That's deep.
That's deep. That's hard. That's the reality, I think, that most of us can agree with, but Alex is the one that is having a hard time coming to that conclusion.
So someone in the comments said, "Can someone tell me if he reoffended and that's why she's making this?" And then it says, per court documents that were shown, he did reach out to the victim via Instagram and was rearrested. Unfortunately, PDFs cannot be rehabilitized. And also Alex wrote letters to say it was a blessing in disguise, which does say in her letter, so they could help him out. However, she's going to get all this sympathy for herself. She literally just addressed this and said she was absolutely wrong to write those letters and has apologized. But actually, where is your sympathy for the victim, eh? Every time you speak about this girl, you are re-victimizing her over and over, all without a single shiny SHIT given by you. Stop with false outrage. You literally give no blanks about the victim. You're using her yourself to further fuel your hatred for Alex.
I can't imagine, as the victim coming across a video like Alex.
Ugh. Alex doesn't deserve to go to jail for her father's crimes. I'm not saying that, but she does
commit it.
She doesn't commit it, but she does have a responsibility as an influencer, someone who is online, to do the right thing. And this was not the right thing. The way she addressed this was not the right thing. She's in a position where young women are looking to her as a role model. And this is not the type of role model I want my daughter to watch. And I think we talked about this a little bit before. We have been watching Alex since, I would say, at least 10 years ago. Well, maybe more than 10 years ago, we've been watching her. And why we liked her to begin with was the fact that we kind of related to her in some ways. We saw ourselves as being insecure, overweight, and liked fashion and like makeup. And we're always dieting. So she had a lot of that content that attracted us to her channel. And that was one thing that kept us seeing ourselves in her, seeing how insecure she was, even though she claimed to be so confident. We could see through that.
Right.
And I think as we've grown as people, we've kind of outgrown some of the things that we were feeling as a young adult. And to see that she hasn't changed much, she hasn't grown as much as you would think she should. I feel like now that we understand more of who she is just by what she puts online, we can see the manipulation, we can see the lies, the narcissism. We can see that she just doesn't love herself, really. And it comes off. I remember in one video she said she always wanted to be an actress, and this just seems very performative. Like, you can tell this is written on ChatGPT or some AI helped her write this, because she can't put together a sentence like this. Like, it's not something that you can tell that ChatGPT helped her just by the way the language is.
So we were talking about this too, that when she had her previous manager, right? Her previous manager, I feel she helped her be more organized within her videos and things like that.
Yeah.
I think this Truth About My Father video, I don't see any kind of support from any sort of outside manager. I think when you're talking about a topic this sensitive, you would want the correct support system that's going to help you. Okay, like, I'm going to draft this what I'm going to say. What do you think as my manager? Mm-hmm. But this just seems...
They just threw her into the wild,
yeah.
It feels like. Even as a friend, I'd be like, hey, girl, you know what? We need a little intervention here. Like, it feels very enabling. And it feels abusive, honestly. The way that her friends, family, whatever friends she has, or her family is with her, I feel like no one can be straight up with her because she's so sensitive and they just don't care, or they can't tell her the truth, or they don't want to tell her the truth. But it's very enabling to let someone like Alex act like this on a public platform. Like, even her own management get hold of what they need to do to help her, because I think it's out of control. Like, all the things she does are out of control. And I think going back to the fact that we used to relate to her in some ways, it just feels now, we feel so betrayed as subscribers watching her, seeing who she's become as a person. And I think that's a hard pill for anyone to swallow. You felt like you related to somebody, and then you no longer feel you can relate to them because of just how different they are than you.
You've kind of outgrown them in
Yeah.
all aspects, in confidence and self-esteem and self-worth, all these things that she's still battling from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think with this video that she's doing, I feel like she's going to have to make another video.
Oh.
Because now she's going to have to explain herself. That's kind of like the pattern with Alex, that she makes videos and overspeaks or says incorrect things that trigger people, that causes her to go into these scandals and having to remake videos and re-apologies.
Gets herself into trouble.
She gets herself into trouble. And again, if she had a better support system,
right,
she wouldn't be hopefully getting into these situations.
Like, personally, if I was in her situation, I would stop talking to my mother, because it sounds like the mother has been one of the biggest influences on her, and she hasn't been a positive one that I see. She's very enabling and not helpful, endangering Alex and the victim, because now she's writing letters to help her father, who is a PDF, just so he can have a lesser sentence, to be shown as a better person than he actually is. And what about the victim? Like, what is this doing to the victim? And I think that this is just so disgusting and disheartening, this whole situation. We're going to talk a little bit later about her redemption arc, and kind of talk about what we think she needs to do in order to gain any of her reputation back in any way, if possible. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but we're going to continue watching this.
Teenager, I found out my father had been arrested and sentenced to 8 years in prison for having sex with a 15-year-old. It was horrifying, traumatic, and incredibly hard to process. In the midst of all of that, once he was in prison, he began reaching out to me. He manipulated me, telling me that he was on medication, that he wasn't in his right mind, that he truly didn't understand what he was doing, and that he felt remorse. And as a teenage girl who had always longed for a relationship with her dad, I desperately wanted to believe him. I was desperate for a connection with the man who had abandoned me. And
you know, in interrogation videos, so let's say they're interrogating her father, right?
Yeah.
They say like, oh, did you have sex with this child or something like that. They don't use the RAPE word to minimize the severity of the situation.
Yeah.
And I think how she's saying this it was so hard for her to process. It still seems like it is, because she can't say the word.
Yeah, she can't say R-A-P-E.
He R-A-P'd this child, this minor.
And I feel like she wouldn't be getting so many disses from this video if she just was honest, and also like talked about that she wrote multiple letters. I don't have any doubt in my mind that she wasn't manipulated and still is manipulated by her family, and especially her father. People that are PDFs are very manipulative. And I think that the only way to remedy this is for her to get some serious help and distance herself from the people that are enabling her, including probably her husband. He has his own issues. He has his own past. And I feel like they trauma bond based on the past. That's not healthy, not to deal with the trauma. And as we know, I know she talks about being on medication for, I think, anxiety or depression, but it takes more than a pill to fix this. This is not going to go away, and it's just going to follow her even as a parent. And she really needs to deal with this situation. Like, she needs to deal with the trauma that she has from all of these years and stop being a person that I don't think she likes. I mean, I wouldn't like being a liar and a manipulator myself and putting that online and portraying myself as, oh, my life's perfect and everything's great and look at this Amazon haul, and then
everything falling apart in the background.
And then, and just like explosions, and she's not able to take out the fires. It's going to take so much for her, if there's even an answer on how she can redeem herself, but right now it's not looking great.
And just kind of clouded my judgment. I began communicating with him regularly for the first time in my life. He told me he wanted to be in my life, and I held on to that hope even when I knew I shouldn't have. When he was released from prison, I made a choice that I will always regret. I allowed him to attend my wedding. I also wrote a letter to the judge reflecting my own limited and manipulated experience. I want to be so clear in this video, I was not fully aware of the details of his crime, and that's on me. I was not thinking clearly. I was vulnerable, and that's not an excuse. I was wrong. And even though I've long since cut ties...
To me, that's a bad move on everyone's end, because 1, was he violating his own probation? 2, was she disclosing the fact that this child PDF was there at the wedding when there were other children at the wedding? The fact that she wrote this letter, I just think is just despicable, because that was a few years ago. It's not like she wrote it when she was a teenager, as she claims that she wrote one letter when she was a teenager, which is not true.
What stood out to me is, so she wrote this letter, and she says she wrote the letter without knowing the full details of the case. How do you get involved with something like that without knowing the truth of the case?
Well, she avoids everything. That's why, you know, it's hard to believe that she doesn't know anything when people have putting comments on her videos for years and she's deleted and blocked them, allegedly. So if that's the case, she does know. That's the part that irks me. It's like, you do know, you did know, or you're trying to avoid it. And that's part of her trauma, right? Is that she cannot grasp reality and she tries everything to avoid it. And I think that's why she's just surrounded by a bunch of enablers that let her get away with everything. And no one can sit down and tell her the truth because they're afraid of her reaction. Like, she'll probably spiral and she needs some serious intervention to overcome any of this. So the fact that she's saying she didn't know, she does. I mean, she had to know.
Gained that clarity and stepped back from the manipulation. I understand that the pain this has resurfaced is valid, and I take full accountability for the choices that I made in that period of my life, even though I made them under emotional pressure and just this deep desire for love and connection. But let me be crystal clear, I do not condone, excuse, or support his actions. What he did was wrong, period. And if I could go back, I would have never written that letter. I would have never let him into such a sacred and personal moment in my life, but I can't go back. What I can do is acknowledge my mistake, learn from it, and take accountability for it. I've done so much work to process the trauma, not just from what he did, but from his lifelong absence, and to establish boundaries that I should have had from the start. To anyone who has been hurt, triggered, or disappointed by seeing these things, you have every right to feel that way. I am so sorry. My choices in the past...
She's making it seem like this was so long ago. This was the latest 2 years ago.
Right, that she wrote the letter, and also when he went back to jail for reaching out to the victim again. How terrified must this girl feel just knowing that he's out there and he's still trying to reach out to her after he's done all of these things, and the court themselves could not even protect her.
Yeah, I mean, she's trying to live her life after being traumatized and assaulted.
Right.
And here comes this guy reaching out to her again. You know, and that's the part that Alex, I don't think, will ever understand.
Yeah, she's never going to really understand the full scope of this, and I hope that she grows as a person from this situation. Part of it that I know that she's not is she's already disabled the comments on this video, which means that she couldn't take the criticism that she was getting on the videos because people were unsubscribing and telling her, like, that's not okay to say that they were having sex instead of saying that he assaulted her. She just can't handle criticism. And that's her downfall right there, is one of her many downfalls is that she cannot handle any sort of criticism.
She doesn't want to deal with anything negative or anything that brings negativity into her life. Because
part of a video, like, it is true, like, she was manipulated, but I don't think she realizes that she's still manipulated. And every choice she's made in her life is probably due to what happened with her family and the way that she was raised and the influence her parents had on her, both her mom and her dad. You know, having a parent absent in your life, and plus them committing a crime, plus you having low self-esteem and want some sort of validation from them. All of it's a sad situation and does not excuse her from being so ignorant when she speaks about this topic. I think that she should have just not made this video and just get off online. line because she's not being a good role model to anybody here.
To someone who should have never happened. Being in the public eye means that even in the most private, painful parts of your life, they can come to light. And that's exactly what's happened here. I never wanted this part of my story to be public because it's deeply personal. But I also recognize that when it becomes public, silence isn't an option. This has been a painful wake-up call about the importance of boundaries, transparency, and emotional clarity. I've learned from it, and I really hope that by sharing this, I can offer honesty, closure, and clarity moving forward. I am so sorry for the pain this has caused.
How many times does she have to go through this? I mean, like, yes, you're on the public eye. There's stuff, you've known this. She's known this.
Yeah.
She's had stuff surface from her past.
Yeah.
That have put her exactly in this situation. And she said the same thing last time. She learned from it, but
she didn't.
She hasn't.
She doesn't. She's not going to. She's never going to learn from any of this. I really feel like this is some theatrics she's putting on. None of this seems genuine.
Right.
None of this. It just seems like she's reading, she's memorized this, she's an actress, she's going to put on this show, be done with it, click off, disable the comments, and come back in a week with another video. If she does that, I don't know who's going to stick around to watch her making her Greek yogurt bagels. Like, honestly, like, it's enough is enough already.
Yeah, this isn't like Fupa-gate. This is more, it's a serious topic.
It's a very serious topic, and it needs to be taken seriously. This video has a few more seconds. She's basically saying sorry and whatever. I think that if I had seen her grow from her past mistakes, I would have had some sort of empathy for her in some ways. But the fact that I know for a fact that she's just going to continue doing the same thing she's always done and pretend like this has never happened, just like with the Fupa-gate situation, just like with the filters that she uses on her videos. All the time she lies multiple times, and I don't even know how she has anyone still subscribed to her or even watching her videos, to be honest. I don't know what they see in her videos that make them want to come back and watch her again, because I think if they knew the depths of who she was as a person, that maybe she wouldn't get any views at all. So we're gonna kind of talk about her redemption arc, if there is one. We just kind of want to say like what she should do in order for her to redeem herself in any way. Like, is there any way that she can redeem herself? This is just her opinion. First, I think she honestly needs to get off of YouTube. I think she needs to stop considering herself a public figure or an influencer. Look into serious counseling, a psychiatrist with a psychologist. She needs to cut ties with the toxic people in her family, the ones that are enabling her. She needs to take parenting classes. She needs to look into SA organizations that support SA victims and make a monetary donation to them. And I mean a lot. Like, she's made tons of money through YouTube. I'm talking about 20, 30 grand at least for these organizations, and show the receipts that she actually donated that amount of money to support the families and victims in these types of crimes. If she does come back from this, she needs to do another video that addresses all the lies. I mean, all of the lies.
Like, spill it, put it all out there on the table.
And something we didn't talk about, but is also important to know, is that she goes to Florida on a yearly vacation with her mom. This last time she took her son, and allegedly the place that she stays at is very close to where her father resides, which means it's implied that she visits him. She says she doesn't. There's a video of her when she was younger saying that she's visiting her dad, so this is not something new. In my own opinion, I think she does visit him. I think that she's, of course, not going to say it because she knows that information's out there. And if she is visiting him, I just think that that is a bad idea, you know? And I think the mom is totally on board for this. And that's the part that makes it worse, is that she doesn't have an adult to tell her, like, that's wrong, even though she's an adult. She reminds me of a child, the way she speaks and the things she does, that she has no boundaries, for sure. But she also has no sense of self. She has no self-esteem. She has no one there that truly cares about her to support her and give her the hard, honest truth. because if you were her friend, I would just say, like, you need to stop. Like, these are lies. Like, look what you're doing to yourself, to your family. Like, is this what you want? It almost seems like she thinks like any attention is good attention. It's awful. So she's going to visit, you know, allegedly her dad when she goes to Florida. This last time she took her son. Does that mean that she arrived with her son so her son can meet her dad? And again, we've been watching her a long time, and you can see in the videos where she's going to Florida where she'll be like, oh yeah, just hanging out in the pool, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden she'll be like, oh yeah. And then she'll come back to the camera and speak about, yeah, I didn't vlog this last couple hours or days or whatever because XYZ. But her whole demeanor changes in those videos, allegedly. And it just seems like something happened that was very emotional for her because of the change from one scene to the next scene in her vlog. You know that because you've watched her a long time, so you can see when her mood just changes. Yeah. And it just feels like something weird happened during that time. And then she's trying to pick up the vlog camera again. But you can see it in her face and her body language, her eyes, that there is something wrong. I hope that's not the case. I hope she's not actually trying to build a relationship with someone like this, because that's extremely toxic. And even for the mom, like, shame on her
for encouraging her to.
Yeah,
because Nancy could be encouraging her to develop a relationship with him because it's her father.
Yeah,
but just because it's your father doesn't mean you need to develop a relationship with him after what he's done.
Right. I think she needs to get off YouTube. I think that she needs to take care of her mental health, take care of her weight, take care of her son. I think she needs to be single for a long time. I don't think that in my opinion, that this relationship is healthy. I think they're trauma bonded. I think that they are not dealing with their own trauma. The way that she's dealing with it is super unhealthy.
I think she needs the complete reset, like get off of YouTube, like you said, because having that pressure, I think, of being in the public eye, having to create content makes you kind of, or I'm assuming makes her kind of feel like she has to be constantly acting.
Yeah, she's putting on a show.
She's putting on a show because that's her life. That's not helping to dissect who she really is. And she's just caught in this almost movie-like style.
Yeah.
Again, we keep saying this every time, and I hope that she really does learn her lesson and kind of changes and grows, but
from her past. Yeah, the pattern of her past is just, it's not looking great. And then the way that she's reacting with this video, disabled comments, again, like that just shows that there is no growth. She's not trying to grow. She's not going to be able to grow in a day. That's for sure. So whenever she comes back and pretends like nothing happened, I think that any viewer she has is also being an enabler. And I think that you watching her is enabling her because she's getting validation that she craves through YouTube. She's getting that validation through her dad. She's getting that validation through her husband who's enabling her mother who's enabling her grandmother and her grandfather who enable her. And I think all of those things are negatively enabling her to stay in this handicap type of way where she is just emotionally traumatized and she can't even mentally deal with anything that she's going through. And she's trying to be a mom all in this whole scenario, which is just wild to have a kid going through this much trauma. This is a very long topic and it is a pretty serious video. We hope you enjoyed our thoughts at least. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and we'll talk to you next time. Bye!